One day, the calamities appeared out of nowhere and drove humans into a corner with overwhelming power. Just when humans were engulfed in chaos and horror, 12 gods, who called themselves the divine gods, appeared. They promised humans to lend their power to overcome the calamities and selected 12 awakened to receive that power, but something unexpected happened. A 13th awakened appeared, who did not receive any blessings from any god but was even stronger when compared to the rest of the 12 saints. And who is that? It's the main protagonist, Li Jian. The 13 saints were on a mission to defeat Crimson Eye, a being whose actions were causing financial harm to many countries. However, it was later revealed that the saints were only acting for their own benefit and did not truly care about helping others. They were self-serving and only pretended to be heroic figures. Li Jian is disgusted by the actions and motivations of the 13 saints and decides to sever all connections with them after the mission was completed. As they arrived at the top of the demon tower and faced the boss, the saints were all struck with fear at the mere sight of the demon. Its fierce roar shook the ground and sent out a powerful explosion, causing the saints to scatter in panic. They trembled with fear, wanting nothing more than to flee from the intimidating monster, but Jian remained determined. He tightened his grip on his sword and boldly charged at the beast, ready to fight to the end. However, despite his bravery, he was ultimately struck down by a sword and fell into a trap. From then on, he lost track of time as he battled against the endless stream of disaster summoned by the trap. Despite the seemingly insurmountable odds, he persevered, never giving up hope of one day emerging victorious. 20 years later, despite suffering serious injuries, including the loss of his left arm, Jian continued to fight and slay countless calamities. And you are the last one remaining? The monster screams for mercy but is killed. After fighting for 20 long years, Jian believed he was finally going to escape the tower. However, he collapsed to the ground, his body having been drained of all its strength. As he lay there, the entire tower began to crumble and collapse around him. In the outside world, two young men are seen running from some powerful disasters and believe they are doomed to die. One of them is attacked by the disaster and falls to the ground. Suddenly, the gates of the demon tower open, and there is a massive explosion that erases the tower from existence. There was a human coming out of the collapsed tower. Both of them were shocked it was Jian. He was angry about the betrayal from one of the saints backstabbing him, and to leave him alone in the trap. Upon seeing the disasters, Jian quickly runs towards them and easily dispatches them, as if they were mere insects. This shocks both of them, who were watching the show from a distance, hiding under the debris. Jian notices someone watching him and leaps toward them. In one kick, he blows all the debris they were hiding in. Both of them were scared, and it seems that he mistook them as disasters and attacked them. They start to argue about how a man can emerge out of the demon tower and think that the man just happened to be in the area when the tower was collapsing. Out of nowhere, the boss of the wolves appeared behind them. Both of them were shocked to death and were starting to run away, but Jian protects them and punches the boss, which instantly kills it. He asks both of them to buy him food and some clothes. We see Jian just emptied a bowl of ramen, and both of them were devastated when the bill arrived. It was astounding $10,000 of food he ate. He was surprised when he saw his reflection on the spoon while eating and rushed to find a mirror. When he finally stood in front of one, he was shocked to see that his entire body had been restored, including his missing left hand. As he further inspected his arm, he found a mark. The mark suddenly became live in the form of a snake, and he is shocked to see a huge snake in front. As he touched it, he was transported back to reality. It seemed like the other people were unable to witness the events just now. A message appeared on a screen in front of him, stating that he had the ability of super regeneration and other powers. Although he was skeptical because he had never heard of anything like this from the other saints, and could not sense the presence of any gods, he decided to let it go since his body had been fully restored. He became excited at the prospect of using his newly awakened powers to inflict torture on the saints. At the media conference, Yang Wei, also known as the Saint of the Ram, was asked about the collapse of the demon tower and the survival of Li Jian. He refused to comment and quickly left the conference room. Upon returning to his car, Yang Wei was visibly upset and agitated at the mention of Li Jian's name, which seemed to cause him fear or anxiety. At the airport, Mr. Hugo Otters, one of the saints, has come to England to visit the Prime Minister. On the way, in his car, he receives a lot of calls from an unknown person and thinks they were the news reporters. He receives another call regarding the fall of the demon tower. He tells him that Jian has already died and cannot come to life. It must be the work of the disciples. He is also informed that they received exclusive calls from Jian and realizes that the call he received earlier were not of the reporter, but it was Jian. He immediately stops the car and checks his phone. He was shocked to see 30 missed calls and opens a voicemail, and he hears the voice of Jian and is surprised and is shocked as he says he will kill him. He asks the driver to turn around as he wants to reach Korea as soon as possible. As Gun further inspects the smartphone, he sees the news. When he was stuck in the tower, people thought him to be dead, and the documents of his will were forged, and his property was divided into the 12 saints instead of donating it to the charity. He was infuriated by this and destroys the smartphone. A screen pops up, and it said someone was watching him. He notices something and exits the cafe, only to be confronted by the household god of Ares. He was about to get rid of him, but he is mocked by the disciples of Gemini instead. As they look down on him, he then picks on them, as he comes to know that they were the disciple of Gemini, and then beat him and starts to loot him. And he also takes care of the household gods by using his aura alone. He extinguishes the household gods from the entire city. They finally arrive at their home. Jimin thanks Jian for helping him and thinks he will go away. Jian says to him that he will stay with him as he does not have anywhere to go. He gets a good haircut and Jimin is really flustered by it. Jian finds a mosquito-like calamity in the house and kills it in an instant. He is really surprised that Jian was able to do it single-handedly. Jian finds out that there are more calamities attracted to the house due to the evil artifacts they receive from the saints. Jimin was really grateful for the artifacts and are really precious to him, but Jian breaks him as it was due to them that house was attracting the calamities and starts to break them one by one. There was a bang at the door and Sung Jae enters the house, who is supposed to be the owner of the house. Jimin introduces them to each other, and as Sung Jae comes to know that the person who is in his house has destroyed the relics and also impersonates Lee Hun, infuriates him, and he tries to attack him, but all of a sudden Jian appears behind him and take him down in an instant. Jimin thinks that Sung Jae was dead, but Jian assures him that he was fine and just fainted. He then heads to the bedroom to have a nap. As he is in Sung Jae's room, he finds Jian figurines all over the place, which disgusts him. So he removes the head of one of the figurines, due to which Sung Jae is sad. We see Hugo at a restaurant watching the news. He was approached by a waitress, and Hugo instantly recognizes it to Bet Yongwei, who has also come to Korea to investigate the unknown man, and relieves the woman of his control. Here, Sung Jae and Jimin were at the shopping mart when they began to argue about whether the man staying with them was the real Lee Gun. Suddenly, a thief with super speed attempted to rob the store, but was stopped by Lee Gun, who had come to the store because he forgot to tell Sung Jae and Jimin to buy chicken. He was then approached by a white-haired guy who asked him to be more careful while dealing with criminals, and next time something like this happens, he must report it to the police first. Without warning, the area was suddenly rocked by tremors, causing the criminal to try and flee. However, they were unexpectedly killed by disasters that emerged from the ground. The appearance of the Spider Queen from underground frightened everyone, as they believed they were safe in the designated green zone. Everybody started to run as they hear the announcement of the mart is now converted into a red zone. A kid was just about to be killed by a calamity, but is saved by Jian, and the kid runs away without saying anything to him. More calamities start to appear, and he thinks of it as an opportunity for him to work on his newly found abilities. As Yang Wei found out that the shopping cart is a red zone, he orders his disciples to bury the whole place with the people in it, so that people will not lose their trust in the saints. Here, many calamities broke out, and the disciple was giving a tough fight. As he failed to block one of the calamities, he was helped by Jian. He easily dispatches all the calamities one by one with lightning speed. He received materials from the calamities he hunted, and he can use them to craft skills and relics. The disciple was shocked to see Jian dispatching the calamities with ease. He quickly understands that Jian was the one who has beaten the Gemini disciples. As they were arguing, the Spider Queen appeared in front of them, and Jian rushes to it, and with a single punch knocks it down. The shoppers in the mart are in shock, but Gemini Bishop, Choi Sung-hyuk, uses his telepathy to instruct all the disciples to evacuate the mart and bury it, leaving no traces of the incident. The white-haired disciple and Sung Jae argue over whether to help the trapped people, but their argument is cut short when a huge boulder strikes the disciple, rendering him immobile. Jian urges them to leave the dangerous area, but the disciple stubbornly breaks free and attempts to use his teleporter to escape. Unfortunately, he is caught in the web of the Spider Queen and devoured alive. Jian tells the remaining disciples to take care of the people and ensure their safe escape from the mart. Outside, Yang Wei has arrived on the scene and is getting updates on the situation. As they discuss the events, a blinding light engulfs the mart and a massive snake appears. The survivors start to emerge from the mart, reporting that someone has killed all the calamities inside, which makes Yang Wei curious, and he runs towards the site to check it by himself. He was surprised to see the dead Spider Queen's body on the ground. Out of nowhere, Jian appears behind him. Here, Hugo was having a chat with Sung Jae, who was apparently his son. He asked him about Jian. They are interrupted by a huge explosion. Yang was fighting Jian, but he thought that he was not the real Jian as he did not have scars of the battle and started to prepare an attack, but he was intercepted by Jian. Jian mocks him and says that he will kill him and destroy everything he has, which enraged the saint, and he starts to prepare his ultimate attack, and the divine god, the Jade Emperor, appeared. With his powers, Yang chains him and attacks him with his most powerful attack to kill him. But the attack did not do much damage to Jian, and he punches Yang, due to which he received huge damage and is on the ground. The god leaves the saint and runs away. Hugo arrives at the site, only to find Yang lying on the ground. Jian is now at the site where Yang Wei stored all the artifacts stolen for him. He sees his artifacts and collects all of them. The alarm goes off, and a whole battalion of guards surround him. He then uses his toothpick and takes down the guards. He senses the energy from the artifacts and decides to take all of them with him. Here, Hugo have arrived at the facility to find out it was all wrecked and thinks that he was late. From the front gate, Jian sees him, and Hugo runs towards him sentimentally and hugs the guy behind Jian, thinking that it was Jian, which infuriates Jian. Jian smashes him, and he identifies Jian with the slime he carried on his shoulder and hugs him. Jian punches him in his abdomen, and Hugo falls on the ground. The screen informs him that the god Od Sagittarius Apollon has appeared, which alerts him. Both of them were shocked to see the god. That's it for today, guys. Like, share, and subscribe for the part 2. Thanks for watching.